with my experience in Sri Lanka, we do not have many companies who offer designer jobs. Very few, and there's a big competition for that. And apart from that, being a self-employed designer, having your own design label is not enough for you to have a steady income. So my advice is for any newcomers into the fashion industry, you are most welcome, but at the same time you need to think about your income. So if I take my personal life, designing is not my main income, it's my hobby. That is where I am successful, because I do it as what I like to do. It's like I always keep designing stuff to keep myself happy, but it doesn't give me a steady income. So always think about that. It's very competitive in Sri Lanka. You cannot, it's difficult for you to survive only by doing designing. I have to be honest, because a lot of amateurs, they think about a very fantasy world when it comes to the fashion, because they thought about the ramp, the models, and that fantasy world, the photo shoots and everything. But there's a big hard work behind that story, what you see the product. The photo shoot, what you saw before, there's a lot of hard work behind that. You need to have a capital for that. You need to have a lot of connections with that. So no point of getting into the industry if you do not have all these things.
So in other words, what you're saying is, if you want to get into the field and if you have a dream to follow, it is definitely possible. It's just that you need to be extremely serious about it.
Of course. Of course.
So as a summary of what you said, can I take that as a summary?
Well, if you want, we should do it. So, and because a lot of people won't share the reality of this industry, but I want to tell that whoever I meet...
So it's like, I mean, I think even if I take a different industry right now, I know a lot of people who, especially Sri Lankans, they've gone to different places and they've qualified themselves as pilots, but it's still, even globally, very hard to find a job to, fly an airplane for a reputed airline.
Cool. But it doesn't mean that you are not welcome to get into the industry. It's a very nice industry. It's very glamorous. You will get famous locally, internationally, if you're on the correct platform. So, but keep that in mind. You need to really work hard.
I see. Okay, Gihan, coming to you.
Yes.
What is the general process that you follow when you design a piece of clothing?
Very easy. I always get my inspiration from nature, and the key element of my designs are the colors. I play with colors. I'm very good at playing colors. And I do not have any competition with anyone because I make my fabric. I know what to do that. And I keep my silhouettes are very simple, very straightforward, and it's very chic. I do not overdo. I always believe there should be three elements in the designing: the art, the harmony, and the balance, color balance. Okay. So I play with these three. Other than that, I don't like, struggle to do a lot of stuff. Like, I always keep it simple. I play with colors. Okay.
And when you showcase your designs, how do you select your models?
Well, when it comes to the fashion shows, like any big shows, like we are given models. We are not given a choice to pick the models. But if I am doing my own photo shoot, I pick the models I want. And I pick the photographers I want.
I see. So, fashion designing, do you, as a fashion designer, do you consider yourself an artist?
Of course, we are artists.
I see.
We are creators. We create.
Okay. And what is your favorite part about conceptualizing a design?
Conceptualizing design. The favorite part. Excuse me. When you say the conceptualizing design, did you mean that...
So basically, when you come up with a piece of work, I suppose there's an inspiration and a concept behind it.
Yeah.
So what is your, in that process, what is your favorite part?
Making the fabric, the color play.
I see.
Because I thought when you said the conceptualizing design, I thought you are talking about the avant-garde side, fantasy, no. I play with the colors.
And also, Gihan, you said now this label, G by Gihan Ediriweera, you said that it's catered, that you cater this to a niche set of customers or community.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about this niche community?
Because in Sri Lanka, we have very limited clientele who can afford to buy designer brands. They are the people who has the buying power to buy this stuff, because when you do a design stuff, it's one of the pieces, so we need to put a correct price for that piece. So not everyone can afford to buy that piece.
I see.
So that is why the designer brands are famous and being sold among the niche market.
I see. Actually, we are almost running out of time for this segment, but there are two quick questions I want to ask you. If you could answer quickly, Gihan. I really want to know, because a lot of people misinterpret this term designer brand or designer wear. What is the difference between a designer wear and normal wear?
Did you mean the designer wear? I mean the reputed designer brands?
Yeah, when you said people, for designer brands and designer wear, that people can't afford it sometimes. But what is the difference between a regular and a designer?
Okay, there what I meant designer brand was the local designers like us. But there are also, like, in the normal ordinary shops we get the normal brands which is selling at the affordable price range. And there's a big difference between a tailor-made designer brand and those regular brands, because they are focusing the mass scale, and we make one of the pieces.
So basically, when you
make one or two pieces, there should be a decent price. We need to give that to that piece.
I see. So basically, you won't find replicas of that same piece.
No, actually, I hardly duplicate any of my designs. Maximum two pieces.
All right. Thank you very much, Gihan. In a sentence or two, if you can give our viewers a piece of advice, if anyone wants to get into the fashion industry in Sri Lanka, what would you say?
Yeah, work hard and you give the correct product and have your identity.
Great.
That's it.
All right, so thank you very much. We've been talking to Gihan Ediriweera on fashion designing. Don't go away. We're going in for a short commercial break, and when we do come back, we're going to discuss New Year resolutions with Dhananjay Hettiarachchi. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Hello everybody and welcome back on this beautiful Poya morning. We're back on Good Morning Sri Lanka with me, Wasam, on MTV Sports. And like I said earlier, we're going to talk to you about New Year resolutions and setting your goals toward 2014. And we've got a special guest in the studio. He's a famous person, in case you did not know. Well, if you don't know him, I will give you an introduction. He's actually ranked one of the top. He's in the top 20 best speakers, competitive speakers in the world. He is Dhananjay Hettiarachchi, an avid and well-recognized Toastmaster. Hello, Dhananjay.
Hi, Vasam.
Dhananjay has been on Good Morning Sri Lanka before, some time when we relaunched the show, and he's been giving us motivational advice on the show, and we brought him back. We thought he was the best person to talk about New Year resolutions since and really understand what they are all about. Now, just to give you a more in-depth introduction to Dhananjay. As you know, he's a passionate speaker and he's a committed human resource development specialist. He is amongst a handful of HRD consultants in the Asia-Pacific region that specializes in performance prediction, profiling-based recruitment and rapid competency development in adults. So I was telling him, when I said performance prediction, that's some deep stuff.
That's right.
That's some deep stuff, Dhananjay. What is performance prediction?
What we help companies do is we help organizations predict the performance of a hire before they are actually hired. So, for example, if you were to apply for, let's say, a CEO position, we would profile you, we would look at your competencies, and we would tell the organization how you would behave within a span of 1 year. So they actually know who they're hiring before they actually.
So have any of these guys actually surprised you?
Not yet, not yet. So I mean, I'm paid not to have any surprises.
So Dhananjay, what you're saying means you're somewhat of a fortune teller.
Pretty much, as in a scientific way.
In a very scientific way. Great. Now we are in 2014. We're on the 15th day of 2014. Yeah. I'm sorry to bring you all the way here early on a poor morning. I'm sure you were looking forward to just taking a break on this holiday, but thank you very much for being with us.
I'm always glad to be here.
Now, 15th day of 2014, Dhananjay. Before I ask you about New Year resolutions and how important they are, I'm going to ask you what your New Year resolutions are.
Well, I like to keep my resolutions for the year short, and I have 3 resolutions this year, and that's to touch the lives of 10,000 school kids before the year finishes up. I started speaking in schools. I was in Lyceum, Wattala, St. Sebastian's, in Moratua. So I want to really do a lot of speaking in schools this year. My second resolution will be to take my company into the Asia-Pacific region. We've got a couple of huge clients coming in from around Asia this year, so that's a huge deal for us. And third is to be a better father than I was last year.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Anything in terms of your personal life? I hear you're a dancer, a ballroom dancer.
Yeah. You know, I people who know me know this. I have a deep passion for dancing, and if there is a personal resolution that I need to keep this year, is probably going back to dancing a little bit more and getting more fit.
But right now I think he's focusing on dancing with other people's lives.
Which carefully dancing.
Carefully dancing, but I think you're doing a really good thing. I've heard you speak in the past, and it's quite motivational. I'm telling you, you hear once a speech from this man, it's crazy. It's really good stuff.
Thanks.
So I'm going to ask you, Dhananjay, what are your opinions on? What is your opinion on New Year resolutions?
I think resolutions are important, but not important by themselves. It's important to understand that if you do have resolutions, you need to align them under a purpose, a broader purpose in life, right? A lot of us wake up every new year, we have resolutions, but more or less they're just statements, and inevitably we end up breaking those resolutions down the line. It's because they're not aligned to a common purpose. So a lot of people I met last year, at least in the circle that I move with, we consciously focus on discovering a purpose in life, right? So for example, this year, the purpose I'm driving myself towards is becoming a better educationalist. Therefore, I have a resolution or resolve to educate 10,000 kids this year. So because I've understood my purpose, the resolution becomes meaningful. Another probably example could be, let's say you want to give up a bad habit. Let's say you want to give up smoking this year. So if you just have like a common theme saying I'm going to give up smoking, halfway down the line you got many opportunities to break it, right? But let's say you want to have a resolution saying you have a purpose, saying you want to be a better father, and quitting smoking comes under that purpose. Then that becomes more meaningful. So my advice is, don't just make resolutions, find your purpose, and then have resolutions under that purpose, so that you're always constantly working towards that.
I see. So what you're basically saying, Dhananjay, is, without going after little tactical stuff, look at it in a more strategic level.
In a more strategic way, yeah. Because,
which is great.
Because once each one of us figures out what's our mission in life or purpose in life, it becomes very easy to stick to resolutions. So I think the reason why a lot of us give up on our resolutions is because we don't see how this is going to contribute to a larger purpose. So it becomes very easy to give it up.
I see. Great. So Dhananjay, what kind of questions should one be asking before the new year comes, or before setting your new year resolutions?
Right. I think probably the number one question you want to ask is, do you want it? Do you really want, or do you really want to stick to this resolution? Now that sounds counterintuitive, but when you really look at it, let's say a lot of people say they want success, right? But a lot of us, we don't want success, we wish we were successful, right? So there's a huge difference between want and wish. So if you are ask yourself, are you wishing for the things you're resolving to be? Right. So if you resolve to work harder, is that really a want, or is that really a wish? If you resolve to be a better employee, a father, a husband, is that really a wish or is that really a want? And I think you need to make a distinction here. If you make a resolution based on a wish, I'm guaranteeing you won't be able to keep it. But if you really ask yourself, do I really want to do this? And if that is a yes,